This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon Radio. In association with Haversley, experts in the sale of lettings, estate agency and block management businesses. If you're thinking of selling now or in the next 5 years, get in touch. They're a friendly bunch at haversleygroup.com.
Hello, my gorgeous people, and welcome to the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon Radio. Welcome and buckle up, because I have survived the week from hell. Honestly, if there were awards for sheer endurance, I'd be polishing my trophy right now. We've had drama, disasters, and enough chaos to rival a Harlan-Corbin plot, which is perfect timing because I'm talking about Reese Witherspoon's collaboration with the Thriller King himself. I've also attempted to restore my sanity going to see the Choral, and then took a trip to Fawlty Towers where frankly my week could have fit right in. And somehow I've also managed to squeeze in a sewing workshop that reminded me that I have many talents, but sewing might or might not be one of them. And I'm also delighted to welcome to my show the fabulous Tara from Seamstress MK. Yes, the one and only Tara Creates, joining me to share in her creative wizardry. Stick around, it's chaotic, crafty, cultural, and it's happening all here on the New Horizon Radio. I'm going to regale you of the tales of my week. As I said earlier, it has been the week from hell. My patience has been sorely tested. Don't worry, I'm not going to be talking about my horrible week all of my show, but it's been one of those weeks when you just think, come on, universe, give me a break. So, as I said last week, my car failed its MOT, and when I say failed, I mean quite spectacularly. You know, there's a pass, or there's a slow fail, and there's a major fail. And this was you're not allowed to drive your car. I now have I had to take it in to be aligned, and then they said that the tyres needed replacing. So basically, my car has cost me nearly £1,000 this month. I also drove over a pavement, so scraped the undercarriage. Thought some damage had been done. Thank God it hadn't, but I got off lightly there. A cat who decided that chaos was everything, just adding to my stress. My cat needed to go to the vet for her jabs the other week. And trying to get a cat into a cat carrier, well, full on cartoon cat. I mean, full on. Honestly, my cat grew an extra 3 or 4 pairs of limbs, actually. We could not get her in. 3 of us. It took 3 of us to get into a cat carrier, and we still didn't manage. So I did something very illegal, and I put her in the car without the cat carrier. So we went to the vet with the cat kind of on my sister's lap, praying to God she wasn't going to jump into the front seat. We got to the vet. The vet said, "Well, I'm not coming out to the car to take her out. I'm not going to pick her up because what if she runs away?" So we had to get this massive old crate in the car, put the cat in, and of course, when the cat gets into the vet, my beloved Honey, she's all sweetness and light. Of course, she is. Honestly. She let the vet put her on the scales. She had a massive injection, didn't bat an eyelid. And of course, the vet just slides so neatly back into her cat carrier. What was all the drama about? Well, purely for me, clearly. But yeah, complete personality bypass. I don't know what happened there. I had a facial. That was the one nice thing I had. I had a facial. Hannah at HK Hair and Wellness has opened up her new wellness space. So thank you for that, Hannah. And the facial and the back massage was very much appreciated. But unfortunately, when I'm lying there having a massage, which is lovely, don't get me wrong, I'm finding it very, very hard to switch off because I'm thinking about all the things I've got to do, all the things that potentially could go wrong with my car, which was being MOT'd at the time. So it kind of negated it, but it was a lovely thing to do. And I do think at this time of year, it's really important that we take time out just for ourselves, even if it's to have a bath or read a book or just sit and have a cup of tea and just reflect, because the freneticism over the next few weeks is going to sort of, that we're going to be so busy with Christmas shopping, it's Black Friday and all that kind of stress. So try and take time for yourself. I also changed social media names. That's not a 5-minute job, it turns out. But I have two new Instagram handles now. So Nancy MK, which used to cover all my social media, which was radio, fashion, etc., is now entitled Nancy Personal Stylist, and all my fashion stuff is on there. And I've got a separate one now, which is a Nancy Radio Presenter, and that is all my radio shows, reviews, etc. So for clarity, you can see what I do is radio and style are completely separate, but I do talk about fashion on my show as well. And then I had an injection in my knee, which was fine, except it wasn't. When I don't know if you ever had an injection in your knee or any other part of your body, but when the doctor put the injection, I thought, oh, I'm okay, I'm doing good. And then And I realised he hadn't actually put the needle in. I was like, oh my God, how I did not drop the F-bomb in that surgery, I do not know. It was so painful. But as a result, my knee is working beautifully now, and I feel like I could run a marathon. I'm obviously not going to do that because I'm nearly 60 and I would end up in a hospital. But what I have got as a kind of a side effect, a lovely side effect of a steroid injection, is a very flushed face. So I don't know if you can see, if you're watching this on YouTube, my face is absolutely scarlet at the moment, and this is something I always get when I have a steroid injection. So I'm feeling very, very hot at the moment, hot under the collar. But apart from that, it has been the week from hell. I'm really looking forward to my show. I've got lots of lovely reviews. Buckle up, we're diving into my wonderfully ridiculous, catastrophically eventful week, and we're going to be talking about this interesting collaboration. And let's talk about Gone Before Goodbye, the much talked about collaboration between Reese Witherspoon and Harlan Coben. I always thought it was Corbin. It's Coben, I don't know. Anyway, the premise is a good one. A woman who spent years grieving her missing sister suddenly receives a new voice note from her. That message, impossible as it seems, pulls her straight back into the past, reopening family secrets, old friendships, and the kind of buried truths that Coben usually delivers so well. But I have to say, it didn't really work for me. The plot has potential, the mystery is solid, but I never really connected with the characters. And as I always say, if the characters don't resonate, I'm not invested. They felt flat, quite unlikable actually, and I struggled to root for actually anybody, which, as I said, makes it really hard to stay invested, no matter how clever the twists are. So yes, as I said, I'll read you the premise. Maggie McKay was on the brink, a highly skilled and renowned army combat surgeon. She always has lived life at the edge. But now, after a devastating series of personal tragedies, Maggie is thrown in a lifeline by a former colleague, an elite surgeon whose anonymous clientele demand the best care money can buy, as well as absolute discretion. Halfway across the globe, one of the world's most mysterious men requires unconventional medical assistance. Desperate and one of the few surgeons in the world skilled enough to take this job, Maggie enters his realm of unspeakable opulence and fulfills her end of the agreement. But when the patient suddenly disappears while under her care, Maggie must become a fugitive herself, or she will become the next one who is gone before goodbye. Well, that sounds good on paper, no pun intended. And the blend of Reese's warmer character-led vibe and sort of Coben's darker thriller pace doesn't really gel. And it did feel like it was written by two different people. It did feel mismatched for me. Not particularly polished, very marketable, I'm sure, for fans of both. But emotionally, it just didn't hit the mark for me. So yeah, I mean, this book, Gone Before Goodbye, is available at Waterstones, Milton Keynes. Check it out. Be interested to know your opinion. Just back from seeing Fawlty Towers on stage, fresh even from the West End tour, and let me tell you, it was absolutely faultless. Basil's chaos, Manuel's confusion, Sybil's sharp wit, every moment had me in stitches. Full review coming up. I had the privilege of going to the Derngate in Northampton last night, and I don't often get to go over to Northampton, but I do love it. It's a lovely theatre. The staff are welcoming. Parking actually can be a bit of a nightmare, but managed fine, and it was so worth the drive. John Cleese's Fawlty Towers, the play at the Derngate. Oh my word, I was not disappointed. Absolutely faultless, as I said earlier. So this new production is fresh from the West End and is at the Derngate till the end of the week, and then is heading out on tour. I'll be arriving in Milton Keynes next May, so definitely don't miss it. It was absolutely spot on. It never felt like it was trying to copy the original. I mean, this brilliant series created in 1975 by John Cleese and Connie Booth, who were married at the time, as I said, only ran for 12 episodes, but it was iconic. And my God, it is still so iconic. Everything about it is just, I absolutely love Fawlty Towers. I think it was one of the most perfect sitcoms ever written. But from the moment the lights went up, it was like stepping back into the glorious chaos of Torquay's most dysfunctional hotel. The energy, the timing, the physical comedy all razor sharp. Basil's meltdowns, of which there are plenty. Sybil's shrill one-liners, Manuel's delightful confusion, it all landed perfectly without ever slipping into impression or parody. It felt affectionate, live, and really well paced. The staging is so slick. The ensemble are immaculate. The script, adapted from the original episodes, feels so fresh and so true, actually. It still sparkles with that absurd British humour. I mean, I don't know how this worked in the States, but it's a classic. It's a British classic. I mean, the audience were howling with laughter, and so was I. It's hugely nostalgic, fresh, and a reminder of how timeless John Cleese's writing is. And what I loved at the beginning was he actually does an announcement about switching off phones as well, and it just got us all in the mood. It's incredible. An incredible cast, actually. And again, I think there's a danger with classics like Only Fools, which I saw recently as well, and Fawlty Towers, is that again there will be that sort of attempt to kind of parody or copy or imitate or impersonate, but there was none of that actually, because Danny Bain, who plays Basil, is actually very young, and I actually sometimes thought he was a bit too young, but he probably was about the same age that John Cleese was when he played Basil Fawlty all those years ago. So, but he had those brilliant physical mannerisms, that absolute irritation when anybody asked him anything that was actually part of his job. Absolutely brilliant. So I wouldn't say the voice was spot on, but he did embody everything that you wanted Basil to be, and so easily irritated, particularly by his long-suffering wife, Sybil Fawlty. Again, my favourite character is Sybil, and I actually channeled my inner Sybil. I went with full pussy bow, a little tight skirt and boots and big earrings and hair up last night. I did get some strange looks. I don't know whether people are thinking, is she meant to be dressed like Sybil Fawlty, or is that how she dresses normally? But anyway, I don't care. I was channeling my inner Prunella scales, and R.I.P. What a great actress. Sadly lost her just a few weeks ago, actually, and just a wonderful actress. Paul Nicholas, who has been around for absolutely ever, started in Jesus Christ Superstar, Cats, is still on stage, and he's playing the Major, and he's brilliant, and he's completely forgetful, and it's just a great foil for each other, and the whole ensemble are just fantastic. Joan Clifton plays Polly, and obviously my favourite character apart from Sybil is Manuel, with his care, I'm from Barcelona, that whole stupid jumping around, but the physicality of the role is just brilliant. And having seen Nuremberg earlier during the day about Germany, which was a really hard watch, which I'll be reviewing next week. Watching the skit where they talk about don't mention the war, then Basil starts kind of sort of goose stepping around the stage saying don't mention the war, is just hysterical. We were all crying with laughter. Absolutely brilliant. I cannot recommend it enough. If you love the TV series, you will absolutely love it. As I say, it doesn't attempt to parody, and this is on at the wonderful Derngate, and it will be touring. So Fawlty Towers, absolutely faultyless, as I said. Next up, I've got The Choral, which is a quietly powerful wartime drama about a Yorkshire choir, Edward Elgar, on the healing power of music in 1916. Beautifully performed, understated, and deeply moving. I keep wanting to call it The Choral, but it's not. It's The Choral. No E on the end for clarity. It's a quietly powerful wartime drama set in 1916 Yorkshire. And as World War I rages, the men of the local choral society have gone off to fight. So the choirs committee bring in a new choir master, Dr. Henry Guthrie, played by Ray Fiennes, cultured, a little aloof, and carrying a very, very complicated past. His complicated past is that he lived in Germany, and obviously this was a very difficult time, and he was still very attached to Germany, and not for the wrong reasons, but just he had a lover who was German, and then obviously in those days that was very, very much taboo, A, being gay, and B, obviously an Englishman being involved with a German. So there's a sadness, this undercurrent all right throughout the movie, and it's never a big thing, but as I say, it's just very much there. So Guthrie proposes that they perform Edward Elgar's The Dream of Gerontis, a bold choice at a time when German connections, as I said, were deeply, deeply mistrusted. So as the young choristers, many of who were too young to join the war but desperate to join the war, they join a community which has come together through music. So even through grief, class tensions, and fear of conscription, it's all simmering under the surface. Ray Fiennes gives a quietly compelling performance. As I say, he's very understated in everything he does. He's such a magnificent actor, and he's backed by a very warm ensemble, excuse me, including Roger Allam, Mark Addy, and Simon Russell Beale as Elgar himself, who is terribly pompous and very, very full of himself, and comes wearing sort of ceremonial robes. And but it's a wonderful portrayal, actually. But he comes across as a deeply unpleasant person, actually. So basically, they put on this production, and with all the sort of the local people, they adapt it, shall we say, and they kind of make it into more of like a musical, like a play. So there's acting and there's costumes, and Elgar actually shows up and he's fuming. He said, "This is not how I wanted it to be played." Anyway, they go ahead and they do it anyway, and it's hugely successful. And it's just about unity, bringing people together in what was an incredibly difficult time, as I say, during the First World War. So it's a beautiful, the Choral is a beautifully performed drama, as I said, that sort of leads into the sort of the redemptive power of community and song. It's not flashy, it's deeply human. And if you love choral music, it will really resonate. I used to sing in a choir, and there is something very unifying about your voices blending together. It can be quite tricky in terms of sort of hierarchy and what sort of parts you sing. I was always a soprano. Men were always in short supply. So, and this is very much evident in the film as well, that, sort of tenors and basses were very, very few and far between. So sometimes women had to sing those lower parts as well. But the whole kind of being in a choir is very, very unifying. And at this time of year, when sort of coming into Christmas, there'll be lots of singing. I can understand why people want to do it, because it does bring communities together, and there is something so wonderful about singing together. So it's a quiet movie. It's kind of sad, obviously, because it's First World War, but it's a beautiful piece. It's one of those films you just come out and go, oh. So nothing major really happens. It's just a beautifully and classic British film. Coming up in complete contrast, I'm going to talk about How I Made a Scrunchie. Woohoo, go me. And a couple of weeks ago, I was invited to an influencer event by Tara Clark, who is my guest today, of Seamstress MK. So I went to her beautiful new studio at Further Manor Farm, and it was a lovely event. There were cupcakes and drinks, and there were sewing machines laid out. And I haven't sat at a sewing machine for best part of 40 years. And Tara explained why she'd set up the business, and we'll talk more about that when she joins me as my guest, as I said. But I was a little bit nervous, actually, because I didn't have the best experience of sewing at school, shall we say. So I was the girl who, in domestic science, as it was called in those days, I don't think that's actually a subject matter at all anymore, where I had to make a pair of what we used to call in Zimbabwe shorty pajamas. So pajamas that were sort of shorts and a little top, basically. It took me so long to make these pajamas that by the time I'd finished them, I'd actually grown out of them. It took 18 months to make a very, very simple pair of pajamas. So sewing was not my natural thing to do at all, and cooking even less so. Nothing's changed there, actually. But Tara was so sweet, and she explained everything so beautifully, and we all sat down, and she showed us how to make a scrunchie. So for the purposes of radio, I've actually got a scrunchie which I made myself. I'm so proud of myself, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but from someone who can barely sew a button on, I'm ridiculously proud of myself. And it's so wonderful to see small independent businesses like this absolutely thriving in Milton Keynes, and we should definitely be supporting them. And I'm a strong advocate, and I've often said on my show about having clothes altered, because it gives you longevity. It obviously there's a sustainable element, because you say your clothes will last a lot longer, and you're not having to buy clothes. So alterations is such an important part of, certainly for me personally, of my kind of keeping my clothes looking fresh. So I'm really looking forward to talking to Tara about that. But it was such a lovely event, and as I said on last week's show, it's a great idea for a workshop. Christmas ideas. we don't need any more stuff. We need experiences. We need to learn new skills. And for me, I might only have learned to make a scrunchie, but I met some wonderful women, some other influencers, and made some great connections actually. And that's what it's about, is women coming together in Milton Keynes, who we all do completely different things, and bonding, and I would say over our shared love of making a scrunchie. So I'm really looking forward to chatting to Tara about, as I say, Tara creates Seamstress MK, her wonderful creation. So stay tuned. Coming up, we'll be chatting about scrunchies, Christmas workshops, and so much more. Tara is the foundress of the Seamstress MK, a sewing studio in Milton Keynes where people of all levels, and when I say all levels, I mean all levels, including me, can learn to sew, create clothing and accessories. She runs hands-on workshops, including her best-selling Sew It Begins. See what we did there? Sew, S-E-W. Learn how to use a sewing machine, and festive sessions like the stocking stitch and Christmas dreamwear this December. I went, as I said earlier, to one of her influence events a couple of weeks ago. Welcome to the studio, Tara.
Thank you for having me.
So excited, lots to talk about.
Yeah.
Firstly, congratulations on the launch. Hugely successful. Are you pinching yourself?
Thank you. Yes, it has been a really overwhelming experience. I kind of knew there was something missing in Milton Keynes, but the response I've had has just been incredible.
And the thing is, what's so exciting is that there was obviously that need, that gap, and you've literally come in and you filled that gap in the market. That must make you feel so thrilled to think, this is your passion. There was this gap. There's all these people wanting to do this, and now you're doing it, and you're doing what you love.
Yeah, I've gone from a sorry, I've messed up already.
No, it's okay, carry on.
I've gone from a job in insurance that I was in for 11 years to now doing a job, like you said, which is my passion, and I've been sewing for years and years and years. So now to actually be doing it as a career, like you said, it is a pinch me moment. It's so good.
It's wonderful, and you've gone from, as you say, probably quite a serious desk job, a day job, probably not that exciting, and your creativity must have felt so stifled for all those years. But I guess, as you said at your event, you've always sewed. You've always sewed. Is that English? Is that grammatically correct? Sewed? Sewn. So that passion has always been there. So
yeah.
How did it feel taking the leap from employed to self-employed? Because I speak to a lot of people have made that big leap.
Yeah, it was very, very nerve-wracking. It still is at the moment because it's early days, and so you constantly have this little niggle in your mind of, oh, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? But then I'm like, it will work because I will make it work. So yeah, it's very good.
I mean, I love that determination, and I get that sort of wanting to take the leap from, as I say, secure, paid, but probably very unexciting day job into doing what you love daily. And I speak to so many of my guests in the same situation, and it's definitely something I would sort of consider for the future as well. But it is truly terrifying. You're stepping into the unknown. It's the security and the sort of the comfort and the just that whole employed thing, and then actually to do it on your own. So much more satisfying, though. I mean, you must be just every morning get up and just think, I'm actually fulfilling my dream.
Not at the moment.
No,
I think just because it's so early days. Yeah. But every time I get a booking or anything, it's so exciting at the moment. So I get a little ping on my phone, and then I'm like, oh God, and I dance around the living room like really happy. So I think that's the sort of thing that's really good as a new business owner. But then a lot of people, I think of self-employed people as having a lot more time and a lot more freedom, and it's really, really not like that. I've got a 1-year-old, so I've sort of set this business up whilst I was on maternity leave with her. So sort of every time she would nap for half an hour, when they say sleep when the baby sleeps, I wasn't doing that. I was getting on with business plans and things like that, and like making all the samples up ready for the workshops and the website, and building the website and things like that. So I didn't have the time that people think that you have when you're on maternity.
No, and the thing is, you've utilised that time so well. As you said, everyone says sleep when your baby sleeps. No woman alive does it, because if generally there's a house to clean or there's a meal to cook. So you've utilised that so wisely, and it must have been wonderful sort of coming off mat leave, knowing that you had a plan. And I guess now you're coming up with a juggling, but also I guess as a new mum, that's going to serve you well, because you're not going to have that mum guilt of having to go into the office every day and leave your gorgeous girl.
Yeah, definitely. And it does make it slightly easier because you have a bit more flexibility. So I can kind of do things in the evenings once she's gone to sleep, and like I haven't got to get her to nursery for like dead on 8 to start work at 9 to finish at 5. I can kind of work it around her, so that's very nice. And as well, things like tidying up the house and stuff, I can kind of work it around my schedule a little bit more. I do think it would have been a lot more difficult if I was still in an office job.
Absolutely. And this time is so precious because, you know, it's such a cliche, but this time when they're little, every milestone is so important. It's so special, and you don't want to miss a single second of it. And you've got that flexibility now, so that's wonderful that you can combine sort of motherhood now with your passion.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to drop her to nursery knowing that I'm doing something that I really want to be doing, rather than going to a job that is okay.
and you'll be a better mother for it.
Yeah.
So Tara, I just wanted to talk about alterations, which probably is what most people think seamstresses are about, and I know you're so much more than that. But for me personally, over the last couple of months, where my weight has changed, I've lost 2 stone, my clothes no longer fit me, which is a lovely problem to have. But rather than going out and buying a whole new wardrobe, I've had a lot of things altered. And for argument's sake, and this is purely coincidental, I actually got a dress on today that is too big. How would you know, is that doable? Because this dress is now technically, I mean, this dress is a 14. It's now need a 12. Is that easy to do you think?
Yes, that's something I could definitely do. So you've got a zip going down the back of your dress, and then this dress is sort of in 2 parts. So you sort of treat the top half as the bodice, and then you've got the skirt part. So I think people kind of think of a dress as one piece, but most of the time it tends to, depending on the style, it's sometimes 2 pieces. So with this style, it'll be treated as a bodice top half and a skirt bottom half, and then you've got a zip going down the middle. So from what I'm seeing on your dress now, the skirt part is actually fitting okay, but you've just got a lot of length on that bodice. So I could take that in at the side, take it in at the back, and then take the zip out and put the zip back in, and then it would fit perfectly.
It's amazing. I mean, when you say that, I'm like, how? I mean, what witchcraft is this? Because I can barely sew on a button, but it's such a clever thing to do. And again, a dress that now is not fitting particularly well will then end up looking, super sort of tailored. And I had another dress altered a couple of months ago, which again was too big on the top. That's usually the problem for most women, and this is probably what you see a lot of. Most women are not a standard size.
No.
There is not a woman alive who can walk into a shop now and go, I'm a standard 12. Generally going to be a 12 on the top and a 14 on the bottom, or whatever. So I guess that's why alterations come into play, is because especially with a dress, I think very few people are, as I say, a standard size. So that a lot of tweaking will go into making something look so tailored and look completely different, don't you think?
Yeah, and like you said, every woman has a different body. So some people are bigger on top, some people are bigger on bottom. So it's all about tweaking things. And I think people sometimes get quite caught up about dress sizes, but you just really shouldn't, because you could be a 10 in one store, a 14 in another store, and it's about having the clothes fit you rather than you fit the clothes.
I love that, yeah.
And also, like you said, everyone's bodies are changing all the time. I'm in the same situation as you at the moment, where I've dropped down from a 14 to a 10, and everyone thinks, oh, that's really nice, that's lovely that you've lost weight, but actually it's a bit of a pain, because now nothing's fitting me. I'm luckily enough to be in a position where I can alter the clothes, but at the same time it's having the time to do that. So I'm altering a few things as I go, but then you're just looking in the wardrobe and you don't know what to wear. And also when you change size, you're dressing for a completely different shape, so then you've got to relearn how to dress yourself. So when I was a 14, I was a bit more curvier, whereas now I'm a lot more slim. So I'm now wanting to wear more fitted things, whereas when I was bigger, I didn't really want to wear as much fitted things. So it's sort of relearning your style.
Absolutely. And conversely, it can go the other way. And if you put on weight, again, it's dressing to your new body shape. And as I say this pretty much on a weekly basis on my show, please, you are not your dress size. It is just a number. There is literally no such thing as a standard dress size. And as a personal stylist, I see this on a daily basis. Even within a brand, you can be 2 different sizes. And I know, for instance, this dress is Whistles, and I've always found with Whistles dresses, and I love whistles, and it's not the cheapest. I always found their tops a bit on the sort of the big side as well. So I've always found this bit not great, but then obviously it's fitted on the bottom half, as you say, and the dress is one of two halves. So I'm kind of more like a 10 on the top, sort of a 10 waist, and then sort of like a 14 hip. But again, I can't get hung up on the size, because it literally is just a number, and that's why alterations are such a brilliant way of making your clothes work harder for you. With, as I say, you've got the flexibility if you do put on weight to have them let out, or if obviously you lose weight, you can have them taken in. Obviously, the latter is easier, but a lot of clothes do have flexibility to let things out if you do put on weight. But I guess you don't see that as much, because I think a lot of women, and myself included, this time last year I was a size 16. There's no way I would have wanted to have my clothes taken out. I didn't want to admit I was a 16. I didn't want to buy a 16, but I had to buy a 16 because I needed clothes that fitted me. And once I got over myself, it's like, it fits. It really doesn't matter. It's just a number. Nobody actually cares. Yeah. But I'm guessing you see more the other way around from people who've lost weight.
Yeah, it's very difficult to make things bigger, because obviously you haven't got any extra fabric to work with. So the only times I can make things bigger is if somebody has two of the item, and then I can use excess fabric from one item and merge them together. But a lot of the time I find people come to me with dresses and they say, I've tried on the smaller size and it fits perfectly everywhere apart from on my stomach. And then they get the size up, and then that's perfect on the stomach, but then it's too big on the top, the arms. So I find a lot of the time they'll stick with the sized up version, and then I end up taking in the sleeves, adding bust darts so it's tighter on the bust, things like that.
Yeah, that makes more sense, doesn't it? Yeah, and as you said, there's much more flexibility. Are you seeing lots of people now resorting to alterations rather than having to go and buy new clothes? Do you think that's obviously helps with sustainability and longevity?
Yeah, I think a lot of people now aren't wanting to spend as much on clothes because they're a lot more expensive than they used to be. You find that when you're going around the shopping centre. Also, a lot of people are shopping in charity shops and websites like Vinted and things like that. So then, especially lately for Christmas party dresses, I've had a lot of people come in saying, I got this dress on Vinted and it's normally £170 dress, but I got it for 30, so I'd rather do that and then tailor it to fit their body, so they're happy to pay the alteration costs, so then they have a perfectly fitting dress.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, I must admit, for me personally, I've still been a little bit nervous about ordering on Vinted, because obviously when I buy my clothes, I generally buy them in a shop and I've got the luxury of trying them on, and because I am two different sizes in the main, I sort of think, if I wanted to buy a dress on Vinted, would I buy a 12 or a 14? Because, as you say, everything varies so much.
Yeah.
So, and I guess for something like I was buying something for Christmas that was sequined, I mean, that's quite a difficult thing to alter, but better to buy the bigger size and then you can take it in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, this time of year you must be super busy. So yeah, coming up, we'll talk about some of your amazing garments. So for those of you who are listening on the radio, I will do my best, and Tara will do our best to be as descriptive as possible. So Tara is going to actually show us some of her amazing creations, and these are workshops that she carries out as well. So what have you got to show us there first, Tara?
So the first couple I've got to show you is for my Christmas workshop. So I've got a workshop called the Stocking Stitch, where you can make your own Christmas stocking. So I've got two versions. This one is an adults workshop, and then the other one is a children's workshop for children aged 8 to 14 years old. The children have to be accompanied by one adult on that course, but that's included in the price. So for the adults stocking stitch workshop, it's a 2.5 hour workshop where if you're a complete beginner and you've never used a sewing machine, that's not a problem at all, but I can teach you how to use the sewing machine. It doesn't go into as much detail as other workshops that I've got, because the machine will already be threaded up, but you can learn how to use it, and at the same time you'll make one of these stockings. So for people listening, the stocking comes in a dark green fabric with white detailing all over it of holly and leaves and things like that, and then it's got a nice white top on it with a little hook so you can hang it on your fireplace or wherever you want to hang it. The top bit's quite fleecy,
And the lining, look at the lining, it's tartan. That is so cute. I love the fact that you've thought of, all these little touches that have made it super special.
Yeah.
So that's the adult one, which is, as you say,
the adult
green
one.
and white.
Also, everything's included in the workshop, so you just need to bring yourself. But if this wasn't to your style, you can bring your own fabric if you want to, because I like people to be able to bring their own personalities to things.
Yeah, okay. And the kids one is super cute as well. So that's...
Yeah, the kids one is exactly the same workshop. It's just for children. I'm getting a lot of requests for children's classes. There seems to be quite an interest in it, which I love, because I really want sewing to be appealing towards the younger audience, because sometimes it seems like an older person's hobby, but it's really not. The children's one is a cute children's fabric with gingerbread men, candy canes, Christmas puddings on it. But again, if that wasn't to your style, you can bring your own fabric along.
And also the good thing about bringing your own fabric is that, maybe you've got fabrics that mean a lot to you. There's a sentimental value, so you've got something that it's a wonderful keepsake, isn't it?
Definitely. And also you could... I had someone come and do, it wasn't the stocking one actually, it was the tote bag one, and they said, when I get home I'm gonna use my Cricut machine. Have you heard of those?
No, show us the tote bag. Let's see. You've got the tote bags there. So are they quite easy to do?
Yes, they are.
I like the
this
sound of
one's
that.
for the beginners workshop. But yeah, somebody made one of these tote bags, and when they left, they said, I'm going to get my Cricut machine and then put a letter E on it, so they can sort of personalise it to
nice.
their style.
So I love that. And then I have to show, what did I make? When I came to your influence event, ta-da! And I know it doesn't look like a lot, but I made a scrunchie, and I haven't sat at a sewing machine for over 40 years, and it felt strangely familiar but also strangely scary. But I'm really proud of myself. I used a Liberty print for the purposes of radio. I've got a scrunchie. It's a basic scrunchie. There's a lot more to it than you think, but Tara was super helpful in showing the sort of step by step what to do. And we all made these beautiful little scrunchies, and it's a lovely little keepsake as well. And I have to talk about those sleeves on your dress. Oh my God, I have complete sleeve envy. You obviously made that dress. It's divine.
I did, yeah. I'm a sucker for a sleeve. I love gathers, poofy sleeves, things like that.
The bigger the better.
Yeah.
I mean, for the purposes of radio, Tara's dress is just gorgeous. It's kind of like a neutral sort of camel colour, but with the biggest sleeves in the world. I mean, I've never seen a sleeve that big. It's just absolutely fabulous, with beautiful gathers around the waist. It's absolutely gorgeous. And you've got lining on your coat as well. So
yes, I made my coat as well.
So we show the purple lining of the coat. I mean, that just makes it so special.
Yeah, the coat itself is a dark brown. I can't remember what I made it out of actually, but yeah, it's a dark brown, chocolate brown material. So I wanted something quite bright for the lining, so I like a bit of colour. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's giving
regal vibes. Yeah, it's
I was
quite
going to say
regal.
a chocolate brand, but I didn't know if I was allowed to say it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And again, the great thing with sewing is that you can. It's personal. It's deeply, deeply personal, and I guess that's what you're saying. This is a way of being able to bring people's personalities out. Whether it's a tote bag or this stocking. So, we're talking, Tara, about people like me who are a bit scared of sewing, and you must see it a lot. I mean, as I said earlier, before you came on air, I was the girl at school when we did domestic science back in the 80s, before you were even born, when it was a chore. It wasn't really enjoyable, and I took 18 months to make a pair of very small pajamas, and by the time I'd finished them, they were literally too small. So I've never really found my sewing groove. When I used to sew in the boys' badges or name badges on stuff for school, that used to take me hours. It was just a laborious process. I never really enjoyed it. And then you invited me to your influence event, and it was such a lovely event. I mean, as I said earlier, it was lovely networking with all these other lovely women that I'd never met before. And I made the scrunchie, and I'm so proud of myself. And just sitting at a machine again. Obviously, machines have come a long way. I mean, the last time I used a sewing machine, this is how long ago it was. It was a, you know, hand, you know, an old-fashioned Singer sewing machine. So, you know, sitting at an electric machine that's all, you know, with a pedal and everything was very sophisticated. But, you know, I guess you can't really go too wrong if, you know, you're obviously guiding people like me who are complete idiots and beginners.
No, you can't go wrong, and I think that's what a lot of people are scared of. They're scared. I hear all the time, "Oh, I don't want to break your machine." You can't break the machine. I say that, but you can't break the machine. The most you can do is jam the cotton up, but then that's just, you cut the cotton out and you start again. So I think a lot of people are intimidated by the look of the machine and the fact that there's a needle going up and down and it's near their fingers.
Yes, I think I get that.
Yeah, but as long as you keep your fingers away and you've got the needle goes into a machine foot, so that keeps your hands away as well. And then I really enjoy when I'm teaching, seeing people really nervous, and then as they start, their confidence builds, and all of a sudden they're enjoying it, they're really confident with it, and then when they finish and take away a product, I love that feeling, because you just see how proud they are, and then they say, "Oh, I'm going to show my mum, or I'm going to show this person," and that's what is in it for me. I just want to teach people what I've enjoyed for years and years and years.
And it was so lovely because, and it sounds to a lot of people, making scrunchie doesn't sound like a big deal, but for someone like me who's a novice really, and, you know, hasn't studied a machine for so long, I was so ridiculously proud of myself, like I'd birthed a baby or something, you know, without medical assistance. It was, honestly, it was such a big thing. And I've worn the scrunchie so much since then, and I'm terrified of losing it. I feel like I need to make some more. I'm a scrunchie queen. I'm the girl who has a scrunchie to match every different outfit. So I feel like I need to make some more, actually. But I love this,
definitely.
The Liberty print. But yeah, it's about not being scared, and you are there to guide. What could possibly go wrong? I suppose I was worried about the needle going into, you know, the sewing machine needle going into the pin, can that happen, or are they quite indestructible?
Yeah, it can happen, which is why you should pull your pins out as you're going, because if the needle hits the pin, the needle snaps, and then
I was worried about that.
Fling at you.
Yeah.
So but as long as you're sewing and taking the pins out as you go, which is what you should do, then there's no problems.
And you've chosen the most beautiful location. I mean, you could not have chosen a more beautiful and fitting location.
So lovely.
Further Manor Farm, where my lovely hairdresser Hannah HK Wellness is, and it's just so calming there. You just drive in, you've just got this feeling of zen driving down the driveway to the farm, and then there you are. And then you're going to have this oasis of calm for a couple of hours where you're going to make something beautiful. I mean, I guess it was a no-brainer to choose Further.
It was actually Hannah HK Hair that put me onto the space, because I've done quite a few alterations for her, and whilst I was doing the alterations, it's quite a few years ago now, maybe like 2 years ago, I told her what my plans were, and she said, "Oh, come along," and she had a space, so she said, "I'll come have a look at my space and see what you think." But her space was actually a little bit too small, but she said about this other space that was next door, and I went and looked at it, and it was just perfect. And like you said, it's just so beautiful there. So sewing's quite a calming thing for me. I like just sort of, I have quite an active mind, so when I'm sewing,
I relate to that.
It's the one time I actually switch off and get in a little creative zone. So I like the fact that it's quite a calm space as well for doing a calm activity. I'm very much looking forward to the summer. I think it's going to be beautiful in the summer. It is,
but it's beautiful in the winter, you know, and everything's, you know, sort of covered in snow, and it is so magical. And Hannah is so good at supporting women in business, you know, and
she is.
She's such a great advocate of, say, women running their own businesses, and so supportive, and the whole sustainability thing would have appealed to her as well, because she's just won another award for best sustainable salon in Buckinghamshire.
She has.
Again, justifiably so. And it's so wonderful to hear that, you know, all us women in business in Milton Keynes are supporting each other. I met some wonderful women. It was such a lovely day.
Everyone that I've met so far has been so lovely and so supportive, and I've just had such lovely comments of, "I hope it goes well, like, I'm so proud of you," and it's people that I don't know saying they're proud of me. It's just really lovely.
And I think there is that natural, you know, say Milton Keynes, even though we're a city of, you know, however many sort of nearly probably 500,000 now. I don't know what the figures are, but it still feels that it's got that small town mentality that everybody knows everybody else, and everyone's very supportive, and I think for women in business this is such a wonderful venture, and I wish you well. So Tara, I know things have got a little bit crazy, and as I mentioned on my show last week, one of my ideas for people is to buy a workshop for you, to come to one of your workshops, because I think we're all done with having stuff, making stuff. For me, I've done a wreath making, I've done obviously sewing, jewelry and candle making, and they're just things to do, and I'll remember these experiences, but you've got something to remember them by. So workshops, you've got quite a few workshops coming up, so tell us about those and what they will entail.
Yes, I've got quite a lot of workshops. For December, I've tried to keep them quite Christmas themed. So I've got the stocking stitch, which I talked about earlier. The first one sold out pretty much straight away, which is incredible. So I put on a second date, which is on the 11th of December, where you can make your own stocking. Then I also have Christmas dreamwear, where you can make your own pair of Christmas pyjamas. I think that's such a lovely one, because that's something you can wear over and over again.
And lots of people like matching pajamas as well. That's a big thing.
Do.
I know my son was saying that him and his girlfriend want to have matching pajamas, and to find matching pajamas for a boy and a girl, or adults, is quite difficult. So that would be a fun thing to do.
Yes, and it's something that once you know how to make it, you could make it again, because I give you a commercial pattern, and I show you how to use a commercial pattern, how to measure your body, how to cut it out, how to cut the fabric out, and how to sew the pyjamas. So once you've sewn a pair, you'll be taking that commercial pattern home with you, so you could make another pair for somebody else. So you can continue to use the skill. It's not just a one and done. One off, okay.
Yeah. And the tote bags seem to be super popular, don't they?
So my tote bag course has sold out over and over again, which is incredible, and that course is for people that have never sewn before. So it shows that there is a huge appetite for sewing in Milton Keynes, which is incredible. So like I said, it's for people that have never sewn before. I'll show you how to use a sewing machine, how to thread up the machine, how to sew on it. There's different stitches, different techniques. There's things like stitch length, tension on the machine. So it's all stuff that I would go through on during the workshop, and in the process you'll make a tote bag, and again you'll take this home with you, so you'll have something that you've made yourself that you could be proud of.
It's such a lovely thing, as you said. I think there's so much pride, and I know again I keep going on about it. It's probably boring myself now actually, but making something yourself, we just don't do it now. If we want something, we just go and buy it now. And where's the fun in that, really? So making something is wonderful, and as you say, it's something you can do with family and friends, and it's such a lovely Christmas idea. I mean, as I say, as ideas go, it's up there for Christmas ideas.
All my December ones sold out pretty much straight away, so I've got dates in January, only a couple left on that one, a few dates in February. I think March is almost sold out as well, but on my website I've got gift cards, because like you said, it'd be such a lovely gift to give to somebody for them to take up a new skill in the new year.
I'm so thrilled for you. Honestly, you deserve all the success that you're having.
Thank you.
There's this amazing gap in the market, which you've come in. You've filled this gap and meeting lovely people along the way. So tell us how we can find you on the socials.
On social media, it's Instagram and Facebook at the Seamstress MK. All the information's on there, and also my website is seamstressmk.com.
It's very easy to follow as well. And as I say, thank you so much for inviting me to the glorious Influence event.
That's okay.
It was so lovely. I met some wonderful people, made my wonderful scrunchie. I've met you, and again, it is all about spreading the word. Supporting small businesses in Milton Keynes, female-run businesses particularly. So I wish you all the best. I don't think you're going to need my luck, because you're smashing it. But it's been a wonderfully creative chat, and thank you for coming in. So best of luck.
Thank you.
Next week's guest is one of my best and oldest, and when I say oldest, I don't mean as in age, but as in friendship years. concierge, Justine McNulty from Waterwick Candles. He's going to be coming in to talk about a lockdown project which ended up being a booming business. So that's a wrap on today's show. We survived the chaos, been cultured, stitched a little, laughed a lot, and somehow made it out the other side. Massive thanks to Tara from Seamstress MK for bringing the creativity, and for you to listening, validating my weekly dramas. Have an absolute fabulous week. Behave yourselves or don't, and I'll see you next week.